Let me make sure that I am. All right, sweet, we're connecting. This shit's fun, man.
Yeah, I like this, bro. I like this shit. Who'd you talk to? You talked to Shackelford too? Who else got you?
Yeah, so I got Shaq going on. I'm about to bump Josh in a minute. See whether we can get him on. People eat his shit up.
Yeah,
they love that kid.
Bro. Yeah, so true.
Those pearly whites, man, they do a number on people. I'll tell you that much.
That's right, baby. That's right. Sexy talk about.
All right, so if I'm gonna copy that, paste it here.
Boom. Got it.
So I just put it into the Zoom chat. That is your, if you click on that, it'll take you straight to that link. And then if you want some copy, I've got copy here for you as well. Just edit however you want. It's all in the Zoom link. And we've got some people.
It right
Yes,
sir.
sir.
There's live link. Oh, there's live link already go through.
Yeah.
Let me do this real quick.
So and this is exactly why we do the pre-show, because we can do all the shares and stuff like that. And for the early birds amongst you, I see 7 of you guys here already. For the early birds amongst you, if you can hear Anthony, you can hear myself. Do us a favor, give us a fire emoji, just so that you can be our tech check guinea pigs as we share the living shit out of this.
There, boom, boom. Sick. And let me just post that. We'll do a little swipe up on IG, and then we roll.
Hey.
2 seconds here.
Post it there.
Oh, it says page not found, bro. Let me update that link to what you just sent me.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, let's see. Or did you just tag me and added it? Maybe I'll just use that one, bro.
Yeah, actually, you know what? I'll tag you. I'll do this.
That's timeline. That makes it easy.
I'm gonna tag you in the comments.
I definitely just added some shit to my timeline.
Oh, that's awesome.
What am I just adding? That's good shit. Right,
that's hilarious.
I'm gonna send you this. Boom, boom, boom. Up here. Let me pull this.
Share one more in there.
Some Inception shit right there. See that?
That's what's good.
Let's get this updated.
Yeah, actually.
Damn, how'd you get that background music on there too? That's fresh.
Yeah, it's man, I used to work in TV, so I figure if I got a whole bunch of
what you're doing, huh?
If I got a whole bunch of my old TV buddies watching this, they're gonna be like, "What is this piece of shit that you're producing? Like, put some effort in there, bro."
That's hilarious. I forgot you did TV, bro. That's so funny.
Yeah, man.
2 seconds here. Oh shit. Undo that.
All right, we got 5 people here already. I know a few Rubens are joining us. Some OG cats in the lead gen game.
My man, Rubin. Kid's locked down in San Francisco right now, though.
Yeah, man, it's insane. Hey, for those of you joining us, if you can hear us, you can see us. Do drop us a fire emoji, just so we can tech check a little bit. Want to make sure you guys can hear us. Otherwise, you're just gonna hear nothing the whole time. And for those of you that are in, man, so I'm gonna be picking Anthony's brain. So if you're in lead gen or if you're in business in general, this guy is, every time I hook up with this guy, it's always just like vibes just through the roof. So you're gonna want to tag a friend for this one. Make sure they don't miss it, because it's gonna be fire. Dude,
why is this telling me a valid URL?
That is so weird.
I got this. I'm 2 seconds away. Hold on. I should be able to figure this out, huh?
Yeah, you think that, you know, in the game that we're in, we kind of know this URL.
That's like I used to play basketball, and you'd shoot like something in the trash can and you'd miss it. They'd be like, I thought you played basketball. I'm like, fuck you, dude.
Yeah, totally.
It's different. My parents do the same shit. They'll be like, will you come hook up the TV or something? I'm like, I don't know that shit.
Yeah. I know.
Don't you work online? I'm like, I don't know.
I'm no handyman.
No, I'm really not.
I can sell that TV though.
True. There you go. I'll market the shit out of it.
Yeah, if you need to move some TVs, I don't know what to do.
Done. Sick, bro. I'm all straight up. We're chilling.
Amazing. We are just chilling, and we got like 4 minutes before we go live. So anyone that's watching this, you want to make sure you tag a friend because there's gonna be some fire here. And the beautiful thing is, I'm gonna be asking some pretty cool questions too. I got some stuff lined up.
I like that. Right off the cuff. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, man.
Keep me on my toes.
Totally.
That's a cool spot there, bro. I like that with the whole fucking background in the back and everything. That space you're in. It's nice.
Yeah, I picked it early. This whole entire floor used to be an event space, and only upstairs were offices. And then they opened it up because like there weren't many events running in here. So I saw this corner office. I'm like, I'm gonna grab this one.
Grab it. It's nice. That's good, bro.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, you
totally.
killed it on that, bro.
Totally.
Killed it on that. Bro, I might have a few more days here without a haircut. I might be growing out the same little man bun back here you got going on, dude. I might be hitting you up for some hair advice.
Have you ever had long hair?
Bro, this is the longest I think I've ever had my hair down right here. Like
I used to have a shaved head for like 15 years or something.
So did I. It's easier.
No
you just
way.
pop out of bed.
Yeah, exactly.
Go, bro.
Exactly.
Oh, you were bald?
Exactly. No, I was like,
I
was completely like self-shaved buzzed. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, buzzed. Yeah, that's what I was too. Yeah, same shit. Buzz it out. Get up and go. Sleep an extra 3 minutes before the day, and
totally. No hair product. Don't have to worry about any of that bullshit.
Nothing, bro, you're rolling. Yeah, dude.
Yeah, man.
2 more weeks without a barber, though. I'm gonna be looking like you out here.
Dude, yeah, I really want to know. Like every day, I'm sitting there just thinking, like, what a few more weeks. Like back in the day, before this whole like pandemic thing, a few more weeks just meant, yeah, sure, time just passes and we plan for Q3 or we plan for Q4. Now it's like a few more weeks could look like anything.
I mean, you and I were talking about before we hopped on, just the day to day with this shit is just, it's insane. I'm telling you, I wake up in the morning and I'm like I said, I don't know if business is gonna triple by tonight or I'm gonna be out of business. But it's really nuts, bro. Like literally, like hour by hour, shit's wild.
Totally. Hey, for those of you that are joining us, if you can hear us, you can see us. Make sure you drop an emoji, please, just so that we can we know whether you guys can hear us at all, or maybe you can't. That's why you're not dropping any emojis, because there's just like tech problems left, right, center. In the meantime, I do tag a friend, because this one's going to be a good one. If you know a friend that's doing any kind of lead gen, or any kind of friend that needs mindset advice because they're an entrepreneur and they're going through this time, Anthony's going to be able to drop a lot of that stuff. He's a motivational speaker. He's a lead gen beast. And I cannot wait for us to jump in together. So just make sure your friends don't miss out on this one. It's going to be good. We're about to go live in like 1 minute. So the typical way I start the show is I'll go on intro. Thanks, Philip. I'm glad you can hear us. Once we go live, I'll jump on and it'll just be on me for a while. I just want to make sure I intro you good, and then we'll throw over to the dual cam, and then we're back on us again.
Money.
Yeah,
I
man.
love it.
Got that shit produced. I learned from the best, Chad from Affiliate World. I'm like, dude, every time we speak at his stuff, like everything's rolled out, right? Like this, here's your flyer, this is the schedule, here's your
that
pass.
event is done so well.
So well.
Down
they know what they're doing. Key. Grand Society, like.
Bro, he rolled it all out, and then I'm late, of course, for our. I was flying from Japan to Thailand, and then I was going straight to. I spoke at an event at the W in Bangkok, and then I was going to the rehearsal. So I'm like running 30 minutes late. Sorry, guys, I'm coming there. I didn't know what they wanted or needed me for.
Hold that thought for 1 second. Yeah. I just want to make sure we go live.
Yeah, rock it. Let's do it, bro.
What is good? What is good? Thank you so much for being here. We got 12 people on the show already, and I'm sure there are going to be a whole bunch more joining us after. I'm very pumped for this one, mainly because of the fact that in the pre-show, I've already been jamming with Anthony, and every time I hang out with Anthony, they're always good vibes, and the vibes, they resonate, right? I'm about to go into reading the bio, but before I go into the formal bio, like this is how much of a gentleman amongst gentlemen this guy is. I was flying into Arizona. I was in the U.S. for a speaking gig. I told him I was going to drop in for a day, and I told him, listen, if you have some time, let's just find some time because I want to have coffee. We never really had to have a proper sit down. This dude shows up at the airport, picks me up, drops me at the hotel, gets me to dinner, picks me up the next morning, gets me to the jet. He was just like red carpet the whole time through. So I want to intro Anthony because not only is he a gentleman, so Anthony is also, let me pull this bio up. He went from, this is the cool part, he went from door knocking to doing 100K plus in revenue per day, and is recognized as one of the top customer generators in the world, specializing in financial services space, lead gen, right? Running a team that drives over 1 million customers each year. And he's also recognized as one of the top lead generators in the world, that specializes in driving thousands of inbound phone calls daily across a number of verticals: health, finance, legal, education. Consistently featured as one of the top 30 under 30-year-old entrepreneurs. Was featured alongside Snapchat's founder Evan Spiegel as one of the entrepreneurs that are changing the world. And this is him giving back yet again and helping us change the world right here. I'm so happy to have you here, my man. Thank you so much for spending time with us.
Bro, thanks for having me. I fucking love jamming with you anytime I see you. We have such a good time.
So good, totally. Gentlemen amongst, like gen amongst gents. It's super awesome. These are crazy times. We were jamming just before on the pre-show around like what these times are like, and you know, I've seen you already on a lot of interviews, other YouTube shows, other podcasts, and all that, and where sometimes it tends to go heavy into the lead gen side. We'll definitely save time for that for anyone that's watching. We'll definitely save time for that because I know a lot of you are big fans of the stuff that Anthony does on that side. We'll zoom back a little bit though, and let's start with, I'm really curious to go, what made you start door knocking in the first place? We'll zoom all the way back. Like, how'd you start there?
Yeah, great question, bro. I mean, it was really like I love talking with people, and I knew like early on I was gonna make the most money in sales. So I was like, if I was so obsessed with psychology, like the idea that I could say something to you, someone else could say some shit to you, and we could have totally different outcomes. And for some reason, even at like fucking 12 years old, that shit blew my mind. I was like, holy fuck, you can convince someone to do something that you want just by blah, 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 what I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
And that shit blew my mind. So, you know, I knew I was really taking whatever job I could get at the time, which
How
was
old?
The world's worst fucking job. How old was I, bro? 17-ish, I want to say.
Right.
17, 18. And in sales, and who the fuck's going to hire a little 17-year-old kid other than a cold calling or door knocking position? So
Right.
I'm out in fucking 120-degree Arizona heat, going door to door, trying to sell $3,000 solar hot water systems to fucking random Joes as a 17-year-old kid. Who the hell wants to buy a $3,000 solar system from a fucking 17-year-old? So, I mean, honestly, I don't have a glamorous story. I just fucking, I was trying to hustle, trying to learn sales. I knew that's what I like to do. I was obsessed with strengthening my craft, and I knew that's where I was going to, really sharpen the sword the most. That was getting door slammed in my fucking face every single day, and it did. That's exactly what it did. I hated every second of it, but I wouldn't know half the shit I know today if I didn't. I mean, so many things apply to online, right? Like, you got to get someone's attention so quickly. It's just like an ad. It's no different. I got to get your trust, your bit, like you to click through to on my ad over in 3 seconds, 1 second. The door opens. I got 3 seconds, 1 second for you to not slam the thing on my fucking face. It's really the exact same principles when I look at it in hindsight.
Absolutely. I have so much respect for door-to-door, boiler room, or even like telco customer support. You get a indispensable skill. How long did you grind that out for?
Dude, it was about a year. So nothing crazy, but it was enough to really like start realizing the value of sales and grinding out. And like you said, and really more than anything, the conversation that went on up here, which is kind of relevant to what we're, the times we're going through right now and stuff, which was handling adversity. You could go, this idea, you can go knock, 50 doors, get slam on the 51st. That's a sale. Like you're that's a mental roller coaster, an emotional roller coaster all day long. And it really, I think it just boils down to how to deal with adversity and handle adversity. And that's what we're going through right now. We're going through adverse times. We're getting, you and I were talking about, you wake up and the door's open, come on in. Holy shit, we crushed records today. Tomorrow I wake up, the door's shut. I fucking had shit fall apart, and this thing fell, and this thing broke, whatever it is. And it's like, it's so crazy that if we're just, bringing it back to that beginning moment, it's really that handling of adversity and that conversation you have with yourself every single day is extremely prevalent today, because everything's just amplified and it's moving much quicker. So the market's down like this hour, next day it's up here, then it's here, then it's here. Like you and I were talking about, like that usually gets dragged out over years and years and years, or now it's hour by hour sometimes, I think. So really that conversation going on up here is probably the most important thing that I'm trying to focus on. And it was then, and it is now.
For sure. And this brings us to a really interesting point. Back then, 17-year-old Anthony, I mean, like, barely out of teenage years, barely ending up with, the last few years of being a teen. What were the conversations in your head when you got the no's, and what kept you going to get to the yes?
I'll be honest, they were a lot easier then than now, and I think it's because of expectations, and I think that's a negative, actually. So Tony Robbins has a great trade expectations for appreciation. And I think back then I just appreciated the process. I wasn't expecting myself. I wasn't like, look at me on this big, bad, great fucking XYZ. I was like, I knew I was a kid. I knew I was learning. I knew I was hungry. So I was much more open to it, where now, like, I'll find myself sometimes catching myself in a new subject, and I'm like, dude, you should be world class at that right now. And kind of being like, not a snub or a snob. I'm definitely, you know me well enough that I'm not like that, but like, I'm fighting that ego all day long now, getting no's, where I'm like, if I go through what's easy, I'm getting yeses all day. If I'm seeking out what's going to make me grow, I'm still looking for those no's, and I'm approaching it like that, like a 17-year-old kid who's open to that shit. So I guess to answer your question, it's much harder today for me to fight that. Honestly, I'll call it what it is, that ego of like, things should be clicking, they're working, what the fuck's wrong with me? They're not. Versus then I'm like, I don't know better. Cool. This is great. This is my first time doing it. I'm learning it. I'm good. I wasn't, I didn't excel really at anything, or I wasn't great, or thought I was, at least in my own fucking made up head. And so it was a lot easier. But to answer your question, really it was focusing on the process. I think similar today too. So I knew the goal was not to necessarily make a sale, although it was. It was more to learn, and it was an approach to learn and grow. So those doors slamming, it was like, dope. That's exactly what I signed up for. I signed up for that, because if I just got a credit card every time, I'm not challenging myself well enough or hard enough, or any, like, if every door, if I go ding, 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 sale, ding, 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 sale, ding, like, I'm not pushing myself somewhere, because that shit's getting too easy at some point type of thought process. Where it was like, it really became more about like, the door would slam and I'd be like, dope, that's exactly what I wanted. Next door would send, that's exactly what I wanted. You know what I mean? So it was kind of like seeking out the process versus the destination. I wasn't focused on, fuck, I want to make $1,000 commission today. It was like, I'm here to grow, deal with a bunch of shit, and come out on top of it. And so when that shit happened, it was like, that's what I expected. That's what I wanted. That's what I was going to do,
Yeah. First off, like, that would not have been me at 17. Which leads me to the question before we move on to the next part. How the fuck does a 17-year-old appreciate the process versus the destination? There's so many entrepreneurs, and I use that term kind of loosely now these days, that like watch one YouTube video, they get lulled in by, this is how I made $3,000 a day on Shopify. So now an entrepreneur where the destination is the bait, right? How the fuck does a 17-year-old, was it family? Was it upbringing? Was it someone in your life that taught you the value of the journey?
Yeah, admittedly, I think it's more fucked up today. So like, I have a 19-year-old brother. We're almost literally like, it's like looking at myself in that age. We literally fucking look the same and everything too. And for me, the problem was raising the ceiling. So it was like, can you make $100,000? You're like, I hope so. I hope so. And it's like, I'm going to fucking just bust myself. Today, he's fucked because he goes on Instagram and this is raised. You see a
Yes.
sports car and then fake tits and then another sports car and then fake tit and pop, 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 pop. So that ceiling of is it possible is no longer like, I don't know. It's like, but now he's fucked because he sees it so quickly and in his face like this that he doesn't realize the Kobe hitting the game-winning shot, how many hours in the gym he spent doing that, because that's not what Instagram is. That's not what's being shown is all that hard work before it. So you just see the end result. So I will 100% chalk it up to I thought and knew the only way to ever even raise the ceiling was just to fucking grind it out and work. And, that comes from really hardworking parents. My dad's a retired cop, all these great things. He's got a lot of grit, New York attitude, all this shit, where it was like, just fucking run and work hard and fucking go. But I will admit, if the media I was consuming in that conversation in my head was, oh, look, new car, cool car, this car. Meanwhile, half that shit's rented, half that shit's probably repoed right now. Like that's or borrowed. Like that's the reality of all that. But that's not the narrative. The narrative is like, look, got a new McLaren, got this. It's like, okay, bro, 10 years of fucking 18-hour days. That's where you reside at that, not 20-year-old driving McLaren. You're not like, that's what you see on Instagram and you're like, oh, yeah. So admittedly, like he's got a real different challenge than me. Mine was I had to raise that ceiling of like what I thought was possible, where his is like he needs to understand in order to accomplish this is you need to do this.
That's such an interesting perspective and frame of mind. I see exactly what you're saying, and it's so true. So let's zoom back again. 17 years old, did the door knocking. Fill me in on the gap between that and jumping into the world that you're in now. How did you get immersed into that world?
Yeah, it's twofold actually. First one is I tell this story all the time. I literally saw a dude shooting hoops on a Tuesday afternoon or like in the morning, and I was like, "Yo, bro, like I love basketball. How do I do this?" Like, admittedly, like that was it. It's not like any special story. Like I was like, I want to shoot hoops on a Tuesday. Type of shit, you know what I mean? And it's like, yeah. So I was like, what does he do? And he worked on the internet, and to me that was so like such a disgusting idea to be stuck in front of a fucking computer all day long, and now I do it all day. But I quickly fell in love with and became obsessed with this. Along the same time, I met my business partner Josh, who a lot of people know, Josh Elasechi as well too, who had already begun on the internet and working on there too. And I fell in love with the idea of infinite scale on the internet and not being limited to your geographic region. So I like exactly what we're doing now, or as I'm talking to you, I'm making money or I'm connecting customers, or ads are running. Like I didn't have to do and in order for something to take place, you know what I mean? So that was wildly obsessive for me to wrap my head around. And that's what I fell in love with. And I think the key lesson there is like, a lot of people look at the vehicle getting you somewhere. So for me, if I had looked at sitting, I was personally training at the time, I was doing sales, I was very like sitting, not talking to someone per se, like that in front of a computer for hours, like that's so disgusting for, a young me to look at. But the actual, being focused on not necessarily, again, the vehicle, but what I wanted out of that, which was the infinite touch, not being limited geographically. Like I anytime I'm like, damn, I've been sitting here for 5 hours. I'm like, yeah, but you're doing blank, blank, blank. Like I think that's a very important lesson that like clicked with me very early on, was like not being focused on like what's on the surface to really achieve what you want. It's like, you want to win a marathon, you got to get up at 5 a.m. every day. And like the only thing that I think get those people up at 5 a.m. and go, run 15 miles and then eat right and then ice bath and do this is that walking across the finish line. Because when you think about just fucking running every morning and getting up at 5 a.m. and sitting in a cold ice bath and all this shit, it's fucking miserable. But the result or the end goal is what I think you got to consistently be reminding yourself as you're riding in the vehicle to the destination.
Totally. So the goal becomes the reason for the endorphins.
Yeah, exactly. The reason and I think that can create short-term endorphins in itself too, right? Like you start getting this like you know, my favorite, Will Smith's one of my favorite motivational speakers, but he said, you know, being realistic, or no, excuse me, says, what does he say? No, the unrealistic, there's a certain delusional quality in every successful person. And I think you start to delusionalize yourself where like, you're like, fuck yeah, I love this ice bath because I'm going to cross that finish line. And like you start really like, you kind of like in a sick way twist this like pain and bad thing in like to your body, like a shock to your body. It's not comfortable short term, but it becomes a massive endorphin hit to get over those hurdles because you're like, yo, I'm crossing that finish. I'm going to feel that way. So you can even live the future like in the present during those kind of, you know, bumpy roads, if you will, for lack of better words.
Totally, man. I truly believe that too. That our perceived reality consists of the stories that we tell ourselves.
Yeah.
That's literally it. So you can fake yourself into false motivation. It's like when we were kids and we were playing Imagine. Like, you know, we're just imagining that I was imagining I was Wolverine and claws were coming out. It was so real to me, but from the outside, my parents would be like, "That kid's nuts." Like, what's he doing?
100%.
You know?
But who was having a good time? If you look back, you were. You know, who was enjoying shit and who were, you know, obviously not your parents is an example, but parents, you know, might be miserable in their life. And that's, I mean, we can go about this one too, but just, you know, who are you taking advice from too? You're taking it from someone who's living the life you want to live and doing the things you want. So what if half your friends think you're delusional or crazy or weird or, you know, whatever it is, like, it's like, I'm enjoying life probably more than they are, you know, and I don't mean that in like a negative way. I mean that in like, I used to listen to those people be like, you should be a lawyer, you should be, you know, or whatever it is. And it's like, wait, you don't like your life. Why am I taking your advice? You know what I mean? It'd be like you being 400 pounds overweight, teaching me how to work out. Like, probably shouldn't be taking your advice. And like, that's one thing that I think most people, including myself, like consistently remind me. Like, everyone's got an opinion. Everyone's like, what a weirdo, like you said to the kid. But like, you're the one having a good time being fucking Wolverine. Well, they're the ones that, you know,
Totally.
weirdo, you know, or whatever
Yeah,
it is.
yeah,
You know?
yeah. Totally. I totally hear you. So, and I definitely want to touch on that at some point further down the line in terms of, you know, how you accumulate mentors and advisors and all that throughout your journey. But let's continue on that journey because this is just so fascinating to me, and I feel so honored to be able to pick out and go through the timeline.
Yeah.
So met this guy. All right, well, this homeboy's shooting hoops. I wanted to shoot hoops on Tuesday, so I speak to him, find out he works on the internet. Sounds fucking disgusting to me, sitting his job and physically what he's doing. Boom, 1 million customers a year. How does that work?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's, I mean, semi-similar to the principle we just talked about, where it's like obsessing around the end goal. And I don't think it's sustainable for, like things like service level shit. So like people who are like, you said like the Lamborghini holding up or the car or something like that. Like, I think I'll always be able to outwork that person. And it's not, and they could really fucking obsess around a Lamborghini. And I really obsess around something much deeper, which is helping people get a divorce, suicide, depression, like anxiety. Like, people always joke, like, I got into like, how did you start like promoting financial services products? I actually wanted to help people lose weight. I was a personal trainer, and I realized like my advice of working out and eating healthy, well, they're working 2 jobs, so they miss workouts, and they have to stop by Taco Bell and for a $3 meal for dinner because that's all they can afford to their family. And I was like, oh fuck, the real problem is their finances. So in order for me to help people lose weight, I gotta help fix their fucking finances. And it's like, like that bulb in my head is what keeps me up, of like trying to have people live a happy, healthy life. And I'm blessed along the way to see like also someone like finance is a big problem for, again, divorce, suicide, depression, anxiety, all these other things. So those are the things that it's like, dude, when I'm up till 2 a.m. working, like that's actually real inside me. Like, that's real fucking fuel. And like, I joke, like there was a point like over the last like 2 or 3 years, I went, I think almost a full year, I didn't even log into my bank account one time. And and I think it's an awesome symbol of like, that wasn't the focus. The focus was not to keep score, to drive more money into the bank. It was literally like, how can I get out and help more people all day long? And I get to do it via, you know, a Facebook ad to get someone to get the right auto insurance or some shit like that. But like, that's where I think I can be on fire every day working crazy hours because I'm on fire, where you with the Lamborghini, eventually that shit becomes relative, or eventually you get the Lamborghini and you're like, God damn, I didn't realize it's the same. Like my 2005 Camry, my first car, is way doper at that moment than the McLaren I drive. Like I got into that car and was like, I'm the fucking man. Way more than this, because this is just another fucking car. It's actually a fucking money suck of a car. Where this thing was like fucking like, this is insane. I can actually drive somewhere without my parents. Like this is, you know what I mean? So it's like,
I know exactly what you mean.
Realizing that everything becomes relative at some point, and then really what's the true deep rooted motivation. And it's just hard work for a fucking decade gets you to here. But I think you need that fire in you every single second of the day, more so than the guy next to you. Like nobody's ever going to outbeat me because I have a different reason what I'm doing, where you're doing it for, not you, someone else is doing it for a totally different reason. My competitor's doing it for totally something else. That candle runs low eventually. Mine's fucking everlasting.
That's so powerful. It's funny you talk about the car. I forget who was the one that said this. It might have been Tony Robbins, in one of his recent books. He was talking to his pal and said, the happiest day for a boat owner, the happiest day for a boat owner is the day that they bought the boat and the day that they sold it.
Sell it, yeah. That's right.
It's so funny. Talk about relativity. Man, what you just brought up just there, I think brings up a really relevant point to where we are right now, where sounds to me like all that is, and not to oversimplify it or diminish the quality, but it really is just empathy, right? The ability to zoom so far past your laptop where you're doing the work, so far past the people that you're generating leads for, all the way through to the end user. And right now at this moment, the theme that I'm always hearing is be compassionate, have empathy, care for one another. And I know that people struggle with that to some point, whether they want to admit it or not. They sometimes go, I look at this and I have an opinion that's bullshit, or whatever it might be. Do you have I don't know if framework is the right way to put it, but can you describe how you generate that empathy? Like, was it always there? Or is it something where you sometimes have to question yourself and go, wait a second, these are the people that I really serve?
Yeah, I mean, beautiful question, dude. Because and this is fun for me because it's pulling a lot of thoughts out of me too. Because if you ask me probably what my number one quality is, it's the ability to have empathy. And I think tactically how that looks is I can write some fucking wicked good sales copy. I can sell pretty fucking well, but it's because I understand the state that you're in and I understand how to talk to you in that state. And I think that can be learned. And, I always joke and we'll get into a framework for it, or I'll try and come up with one. I don't have one off the top of my head. We'll try and see. We can unravel one. But like, I joke, like I'm a method actor in a lot, but when I get into a new space or copy or something like that, like I purposely defaulted on my medical bills to feel how it was to get a collection calls and to get letters in the mail. Yeah. From debt collection agencies and all this shit. And it's like, I felt at that point, like turning off my phone before I went to bed because I didn't want to wake up to a debt collector call. I felt walking to the mailbox and getting a pit in my stomach. Like that was real. So now everyone else is writing copy that's like, get a free consultation on how to fix your finances. I'm going, are you tired of having a pit in your stomach when you're walking to the mailbox? Like think about how much better that converts than this. You know what I mean? So that empathy isn't just, motivation and fuel to keep rolling, but tactically, it allows you to be a much better sales guy, allows you to write much better copy, convert people, find the right audience, all these things. So it's really, stepping in and I think one of the things I like to do is like go 5 layers deeper into something. So it's like, okay, somebody is struggling to pay their finances. Okay. Deeper level than that. Got it. They defaulted on their medical bills. Got it. Okay. So what happens when they default on medical bills? They get debt collector calls and they get letters in the mail. So what happens when they get debt collector? They start to feel a pit in their stomach. So what happens when they feel a pit in their stomach? They're angry to their wife. So what happens when they're angry to their wife? They're not a good dad to their kid. So what happens when they're not a good dad? They get divorced. So all of a sudden, like I've unraveled it like 5 to 10 times. Even when you're like so fucking stuck, you're like, I don't know what happens when you get divorced. You're like, ugh. And like you really think about it, and eventually you zoom up like, hey, you need to call to save your marriage. And you're like, how do those two connect? And it's like, but that's the deep, deep level that someone wants to fix their finances. It might actually be to save their marriage. And it's like, oh, fuck, like that's empathy. That's understanding, and that's also great fucking good sales copy is what it is too, because you understand where the person is. So really just that why until you're like so far down an insane path where you're like, this guy had to buy a dog to sleep with to be happy, like, you know what I mean? Like somewhere along that journey you're like, got it, he needs to buy my product or do this or do that because of that. And you know, I'll pause there in 1 second, but really, you know, you asked how that applies to this times. I think the brands that are working really well, or at least like I'll just speak for first person, is we've done a total rewrite on all of our messaging and copy right now, and it all has to do around this time. So it's not saying, hey, do this, you know, to blah 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 blah. It's like, hey, you know, while you're stuck inside, make a call, or hey, you know, worried about when the stimulus check is going to come, like start taking steps ahead to get in front of it. You know, or whatever that it come out
contextual.
of COVID with this. It's a lot more contextual. It's a lot more relevant. And really all that does is it makes it more relevant for the customers to actually digest, read, click on the ad, take action, all this stuff. So it's like, if you're running the same shit you were a month ago, I think you got a real problem. I think if you were to rewrite and move it to be relevant to today, and normally you get, you know, it's the 4th of July sale, it's the Black Friday sale, like it's calendar out and you got months to prep. Like this shit's day to day. So, you know, it's really like my guys are all working crazy hours right now. It's the performance is really good. And a lot of it is because of just that relevance and empathy, coming back to your empathy. So someone right now at home that just got furloughed or just lost their job, how the fuck are they feeling and how do we help them? And like storyboarding that out. Why? Boom, there's our hook, there's our ad copy, there's our creative, there's our lander, let's go. And it's not to manipulate people to hurt them, it's to manipulate them to ideally help them once you have that empathy. But it is a superpower you can use either way.
Right. And I mean, it's just like a therapist, right? A therapist asks the right questions to help you get to that your own light bulb moment to take a certain action. So you're kind of just doing the same thing, just in a different context. That's all.
Yeah, you look in the mirror and fucking do it. If you want to be your own
right,
therapist.
Right, man.
And looking at yourself too, like you as a consumer, like I've started to be more aware of myself as a consumer and consumption.
Same.
And saying like, where am I right now? Like, why did I click on that? Why am I even looking at this? Why do I want a TV? And like playing that same like onion unpeeling with like, okay, do you want a TV? Why? And then eventually you're like, oh, because I don't feel very masculine right now because I'm not really in control of like, you know what I mean? You're like, oh shit, like you're buying a TV to help your masculinity? You're like, oh damn, like it's crazy when you connect those dots. And really the best way to do it, I think, is with yourself at first. And even just, you know, even when you're reading, like, why am I watching Netflix right now? Because I'm bored. Why am I bored? You know, and you can go on that. It's a never ending path, but somewhere along there, I think you start to uncover and discover that empathy. And it takes practice. It's not something that, you know, if I was a single child and I was selfish and I was very materialistic driven and like a lot of people, which fine, it doesn't make you a bad person, but it takes practice to develop that empathy. And I'm trying to remember, it's Emotional Intelligence 2.0 is a really good book for anybody listening to. I got it over my nightstand. It's really good. It's really EQ, and you start learning about, you know, even just start searching, you know, how to have an emotional intelligence, and this really helps. I think it really helps with you being a better marketer, making more money, being a better person, having more impact. All the things that anyone who's listening to this is doing it for a reason. You're not just passing the time listening right now. You're trying to better yourself in some way.
Absolutely. Totally. Absolutely. And by the way, guys, if you're watching this, we're starting to get to the good stuff. Like Anthony's dropping some fire. So make sure you tag a friend who should not miss out on this, because by the time we get to the last 20, 15 minutes, that's reserved for question time for you guys, because it's your show as much as it is mine. So type it into the comments. I'll make sure I throw it over to Anthony. He's already dropping some fire right now, so make sure you tag a friend and drop any questions in the comments too. Back to what you were talking about. So powerful, the framework that you just explained. Being a method actor, I love that. I've never had that explained to me in that way, which really is all empathy is for people that empathize without going so far as method acting. They're just able to imagine what the other person is going through. But that's powerful shit. Actually making yourself go through it, no one can take that away from you. That's just straight up.
Yeah, it's funny. It's like, I don't quote me on this because I don't know if this is true at all, but I imagine the people that started Uber we're like waiting for a taxi and we're like, this fucking sucks, dude. I'm gonna get some dipshit in here that smells, he's mean to me and all this. You know what I mean? Like, and they're like, oh, well, how do we fix it? You know, like I think a lot of entrepreneurs like create stuff to solve their own needs and problems. And I think the reason why that's such a trend is for no other reason than you're able to empathize and understand your customer, because you are your customer, you know? So if you're not, or if you're selling something that you're not your own customer of, that's okay. But understanding and spending time with those people, learning on them, researching them, you know, how can you put yourself in their shoes, whether it's literally physically, like being poor, if that, you know, you're helping someone, you know, fix their finances, or if it's, you know, fucking whatever it is, buy a pillow, you know, sleep with a hard pillow every night, you know, whatever that is, like, because you're right. Once the more I can make that, I can actually feel that pain, the more I can talk to someone in that pain. And you know, like I said, a good starting point is researching and learning and talking to, like, I talk to even like you run an agency, and like maybe it's not truly your customer. Let's say you sell coffee cups, but like asking your client, like, hey, can I call one of the coffee cup customers? Sure, why? Call them up, and you're not trying to upsell them, you're not trying to save them, you're not trying to do customer service questions. You're literally just like, hey, so you bought a coffee cup? Yeah. They're like, yeah. Could you tell me about yourself? Like, I literally will give people Amazon gift cards to fucking talk to my dumbass. And like, if this is some like poor lady out of Alabama or some shit, and I'll be like, hey, $25 Amazon gift card. You mind just shooting the shit with me for 30 minutes? I'm not trying to sell you anything, do anything. She's like, okay, that's weird. I was like, okay, just PayPal you the money. And I'm like, so like Alabama, well, okay. And like, I like through that process, I've uncovered so many nuggets, and like I find trends, and like for like 2 or 3 years ago, I found out like a lot of people that are worried about their finances are very religious, and I'm like, oh shit. So we started partnering with mega churches. We started like these massive learnings that come from just like literally calling your customer and just talking to them. And it's great now because they're all at home right now. It's not like you have they're not, you know, it's funny. I lost the excuse. Like, oh, I gotta go. I gotta run somewhere. Like, where are you gonna run? Yeah. You're at home. But right. But really that super simple thing, like calling and talking to the person that bought your shit or signed up for it or filled out a form or contacted you, just understanding who the fuck they are. You're going to find trends, and then you're going to really start to understand that person. And just being a curious learner, a curious person, I think is just a great skill to develop. Like if you were like, hey, I came to the office, and why'd you do that? Why'd you do that instead of just sitting at home? Like, oh, and you're like, oh, the kids, this. Oh, so like, how is it with your kids during quarantine? And I'm just listening, and you're absorbing, and all of a sudden I'm like, I'm really getting to know you. And if I were like trying to sell you on something, or I was trying to convince you of something, like I know where you're at right now at that point. And it's like, got it. I'm going to talk to 2 or 3 of you. I see some overlapping trends. Great. There's my, like, it's a very simple formula, really, in a lot of ways after that.
Right. Yeah. Because the principle stays the same.
Yeah. 100%.
Which, and you unconsciously or subconsciously just gave me the perfect layup for my next question, which is, were you always that kid?
Why don't I have kids? Why don't I have kids? No.
But were you, were you always that kid? Why? But why? Why is the sky blue? No, but why is it blue? But why?
I'd say more of the empathy than curious. I'm the oldest of 4 brothers for sure. I think I did grow up religious. I think I did grow up to care and look for other people and worry about not, what can Anthony gain from this, but like, how does the tribe win? How does the team, which at that point were my younger brothers and stuff like that. So I think I did grow up, I'd say, more empathetic. But that, I don't want that to write off someone listening who's like, I can't learn empathy, because I still work on it. And it's not like all of a sudden, like I realized how to dive deep into someone or to myself or understand my own emotions and stuff. Like, it's very hard to get me like angry or get me off base, because I'm like, the second I get angry, I'm like, why are you angry? And I'm like, literally doing that exact exercise, and you're like, oh, it's because you're actually mad at yourself for this. You know what I mean? And you're like, so why am I yelling at D? Like, I'm mad at myself. Like, oh.
Right.
Like, that takes a lot of practice. And the curiosity is the same thing too. No, I don't think like I was just like curious. And that's a skill I'm really working on, is being a better listener and a really active listener. Because I love to talk. I love to hear my own fucking voice. I love to speak. And obviously here in this format, you're talking, and I'm like, you're talking, but I'm not learning when I'm talking right now. Actually, I'm just talking. You're learning. Everyone listening is learning. And like, that started to become a real thing that I've grasped, where it's like, someone once said, like, if you're talking, you're not learning. And I was like, oh fuck. So like, I've started to shut up a lot more in a lot of situations. I've just been like listening, and they're like, oh, you have an opinion? And I'm like, yeah, no, I agree. And it's not that I don't, it's just like, okay, so am I talking now to feed my own ego, to make myself feel good? Or am I here
Yes.
trying to learn? If I'm here trying to learn, shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? It's like, that's where that curiosity is really, really come in. And like, while I've done that, I've been able to kind of try and direct the conversation or go deep, and also kind of ask like non-bullshit questions. Not like, so how's the weather over there, D? You know, you're like, so bro, like, how
Mm.
is it with the kids? Like, are you getting frustrated? Or like, do you think this has pushed you and your wife closer or further away? Like, we won't do that live here or anything like that. But you know, that's the type of shit that it's like, damn, you really start to get people to you know, these auto answers of like, yeah, things are good, this, that, like asking those questions is where I think there's a lot of gold to be found in not just you in general, but just being a curious person. And that is not something I was born with. That is definitely a skill I've worked on, and I'm still working on that one in particular, is being a more active listener and more curious.
Amazing. And I'm so glad that you answered that way, because that's exactly it. I mean, the the fact that you provided a framework or a philosophy of thinking arms whoever's watching this with, if you really want to get to that point, one, go read the book. That's the easiest thing you can do. Two, and then two, if you want to go the next level, then actually put yourself through someone else's situation for real, for a day, for a week, whatever it might be. So there already are tangible things that people watching this can take away to say, hey, I'm gonna give that a shot, and I can
Yeah.
apply this curiosity. So a lot of tactical stuff with principle underpinnings, which is fucking perfect, fucking perfect. I love it so much. The it's it's really interesting, right? Like, with all that being the underpinning of, now that we unpackage the mind of, or rather the principle and the your approach to things, how did you go from, like, naturally being in the position that you're in, you had to learn somehow or figure out somehow how to build a team that's capable of
Mm-hmm.
driving a million customers a year in
Right.
multiple sectors. It's not like, because, correct me if I'm wrong, you never had family working in those sectors.
Right. Correct.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So what did that look like? Was it just amassing mentors? Was it working under someone for a while to understand the framework?
Yeah, all the above. I think one is you know, just piggybacking off empathy a lot too. It's like my job now is to actually I haven't launched a Facebook ad in fucking 2 3 years. Like I don't even,
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't even, I'm lost in there. But my job now is really more than anything is to understand customers deeper. Great, so I can arm with strategy, angle, all this, but it's my team as well too, is how do I get them the shit that they need. And you know, taking that approach even at two, going from one to two, is like, how do I invest in this person more so that they can be a better version of themselves, so that they can, you know, theoretically do their job better or help people better in that kind of that cycle. So you know, at first I guess tactically started you know, replacing shit I hated to do. That was easy. I just, all, you know, bookkeeping, oh, hate it, get rid of it. Scheduling, oh, hated it, get rid of it. Easy, easy, easy. Where it became hard was, there's a book called the E-Myth. It's a great book. It talks about going from a technician, so a media buyer, manager, managing people, to entrepreneur, thinking up here on and all that, and you know, strategically thinking. And it talks about the challenge on each one, because a lot of times, in me included, I was a great media buyer. So in the book, it's a baker. She was a great baker. Everyone's like, why don't you start your own bakery? You're so good. I'm such a good media buyer. Why don't I start my own company? You realize it's a much different set of skills to learn how to really become a manager, which is have people underneath you doing the stuff. And then it's a much different set of skills to be an entrepreneur. So every time you're learning new things, and I feel like every level, the business, whether it's revenue based or people based or customer based, there's a new set of skills needed each one. So it's really, it's attracting you know, like-minded people, and meaning from a, excuse me, not like-minded from thinking, because I think it's good to have people with differentiating thoughts and opinions, like moral opinions. So nobody on my team is very
Cultural
is
alignment.
yes, yes, cultural alignment, thank you, is very tangible based. They're not trying to go buy $1 million house or car. They're genuinely trying to help people. They have low egos. They're open and eager to learn. They're loyal, they're trustworthy, like all these, like, I think that is a absolute circle across, you know, the 30 plus team members we have now, are is that they all align in that in some way, or very close to. And if not, they generally either weed themselves out quickly, or it's a virus in the I guess no pun intended with everything going on, a virus in the house, and you're like, I got to get this out of here ASAP, or fix this. So it's
Yes.
so anyway, I guess I'll pause. I'll pause there.
That's no, that's powerful stuff, and it's so interesting how I don't know. As we're having this conversation, I'm having a lot of like internal aha moments because I'm getting to know you on a very much deeper level. Every time we've connected, it's always like, have a good time, go out for dinner together, and I'm getting to know you on this really deep level. And now, what hitting me is the fact that I see now why Anthony is where he's at, and competitors are where they're at. One, because his eyes on the true ball, like the ball, not some offshoot byproduct of that. And just by focusing on that and being able to, with our team, we call it the fourth D, like the fourth dimension, being able to see past the money, the fame, the ego, the accolades, by being able to focus on that fourth dimension of that ball, would you say that that is the key contributing factor to where you're at? In other words, sure, the tactics change, the advice might change, and all those other things, but at the core of it all, that's the key driving force.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think you see it, Kevin Hart's a great example, right? Like Kevin Hart is
Oh yeah.
there's literally a starving comedian. It's literally like a fucking term that people say. This guy's on his way to be a billionaire. And everything you just said, I think accidentally becomes a byproduct. Like I guarantee you, if this dude was making fucking $15 an hour, he'd still be doing exactly what he's doing right now. I know that's true for me. I'd be doing my exact same shit if I was making $15 an hour every single day because I wake up loving the shit out of what I do. I actually fucking 1,000,000,000% know that for a fact. I think once you've hit that level, you're unstoppable, really, because like you said, the tactics change. So Facebook is hot. Oh, let's go check out Snapchat. Oh, we're on TikTok. Oh, let's go. Like that changes. But the overall idea of understanding your customer, talking to them in a very deep rooted way, it's the same. That's sales literally on top of that, right? Out sales on top of that. It's literally those two, like that's it. So whether it's knocking doors, whether it's a Facebook ad, whether it's a Twitter ad, whatever the fuck it is, it's the same principle. Like you said, the tactics change, but approaching it on a much deeper level than a much more sustainable level. I wouldn't even say a right or wrong level. There's nothing wrong with being motivated by a fucking car on your fucking refrigerator. You get nothing wrong with that at all. Just I would argue you'll eventually find, and maybe you need to get that to feel that. But Jim Carrey, I think, says, I wish everybody could experience the fame and wealth they think will make them happy, only to realize that it won't. And that is such a fucking, and I think we can all relate to that, even in mini micro levels, where it's like, even if when you finish the marathon guy we were just talking about, guess what happens right after that marathon? He's like, what's next? Like, you know what I mean? Like it's this game, it becomes a game of growth, not a game of achievement, or not a game of accumulation. It's a game of growth. Like growth equals happiness at the end of the day. At least for me, that I really believe that for everybody that eventually figures it out or eventually experiences true happiness, they realize that growth is the key. So it's the marathon runner. I want to do a better marathon, a bigger one. Like, I think that's why you see the Kevin Hart's, who starving comedian, being a billionaire, now just starting to do production and this and this. So the tactics change. He's not up on stage, picking people out of the show doing it. Now he's got a rehearsal. Now he's got a TV show. Now he's producing. Like those tactics are all changing, but he continues to be a bull in it because he's got that sustainable drive behind him of like, I just want to grow,
Love it. It's Simon Sinek's the one that coined it, right? Or rather, it is a really big part of his talks: finite game players versus infinite game players. Yeah. And most people play to win that finite game, but the ones that are on the ones that understand I'm on a path towards growth and greatness, hence why what inspired me to start the show, they're there exactly like you said. What's next? I want to keep my game is that I want to keep playing the game. Yeah, that's my entire game, and I just want to get better at that game. That's my entire game. That's what really powerful what you just said.
Well, it's fucking depressing too when you like. I remember when I wanted to make six figures, and I remember hitting it, and I literally was like depressed for like 3 or 4 months. Sounds like so like fuck you for saying that. Like if I was not making six figures in my younger self, I would have said fuck you for saying that. But I think if anyone can relate, you maybe like listen to me for 30 more seconds to see if you can understand that that was the goal, and then I hit it. And then it was like, okay, what do I do now? And you're like, I got up and I didn't have that. Like, that's my goal. Let's get it. You're like, I hit my goal. Whoa. And it's like, just felt like this massive deflate. And it was like, fuck. And it was like, okay, now what? Cool. Okay, I want to sustain it. Cool. I hit it. What do I do next? And it's like, that's where I think it clicked, where it's like that hit a depressing point for me, where it was like I hit my goal, and it's a big goal and a very good accolade, and everything I should have been, and I was very proud of it, just long enough to realize I didn't have anything to get up for the next day, really, or anything that to really motivate me the next day. And it's like, and I think that's where everyone can relate to, even if it's just fucking finishing a race or whatever it is. It's like you really realize that aha moment of like, oh shit, growth really is the answer. It's not to get the car, it's not to get this, it's not to do this, or it's not to be here. It's really just to be a little bit better version of yourself every day. It also stops you from comparing yourself. So we go back to the Instagram stuff, like it allows you to be happy for people that are successful around you, because the game is not me versus them, it's me versus me. It allows me not to be envious or to feel like a piece of shit, because again, it's not me versus them. They're on a different path, not a better path. They haven't, not because I've been doing it longer or less than me, just a different path. It's my path. I'm trying to get a little bit better than I was yesterday, and then tomorrow I'm trying to be a little bit better than today. And that's the wins, and those are the wins I celebrate. And that's why life's fucking exciting. If it wasn't, it would be fucking just like we were talking about. It'd be sick till I got the car, then it would fucking suck. Then I'd be like, I want a yacht, then I get the yacht, then it'd be like, this fucking sucks. And it would go like this versus like consistently. Actually, I shouldn't even go like this. Consistently living up here, like it's really becomes a very steady happiness, because even if the world falls, your business ends, it's like I'm just trying to grow as a person every day. Because last thing I'll add here, I heard someone speak that I fucking loved. It was talking about how athletes really peak at like 28, 29 or whatever it is, right? And like us as entrepreneurs or people in general, this can sustain, decades where our body starts to deteriorate and break down. So that constant push and pressure and work on the body, your knees start to give, your ligaments start to give. The brain does not. So even looking at it literally just like X's and O's, no philosophical, you should feel it like X's and O's. This can sustain that consistent reading, learning, growing, experiences, all this stuff. And this you take with you all day long. So if the game is like, let me just continue to put work into this thing because it can sustain it, that's all I got to do every day is I got to make this a little bit better every single day. And that's where I think that growth sustainability comes in. I think we've hammered the shit out of this point, but hopefully that clicked with some people.
But man, I'm telling you what, I've been on this kick lately where it's, and the team is probably, I've been hammering into them. They're probably sick of me saying it, but what I'm learning so far, this is only like a few episodes in, what I'm learning so far, it's all about the right lenses. The people that somehow have figured it out to some degree, and so many of them go at, even though from the outside looking in, it's like they look like they're figuring it out, and when I speak to them, they're like, I haven't even figured it out yet. But it's a different set of lenses than most people are willing to put on or able to put on. They don't even know they're short-sighted. A lot of us walking around, it's like, I didn't even, you don't know what clear looks like until you put on the glasses. You think that's clear? Let's put on these pair of glasses. And all of a sudden, it just snaps into focus.
100%, bro. I mean, any experience can be positive or negative. I remember I had a media buyer misspend like 30 grand in like an hour. And is that positive or negative? Most people listening says negative. Me, I think it's positive. He was being aggressive and he's learning. And guess what? Me taking that approach and saying, fuck yeah, dude, good job. Instead of what the fuck did you just do? This is coming out of your paycheck. You're fired. That most people would react. My lens was, hell yeah, he failed being aggressive. I'll take that all day versus being timid. And if I reprimand him right now, he's going to become timid. He's not going to be able to spend that scale. So now I'm blessed enough, because hindsight's 2020, talking about lenses, 2-3 years later, this guy manages millions of dollars to spend. And he can only do that, I firmly believe, because the reason why that path continued is because I did not reprimand him during that bad time. It was a good time. It was a time to celebrate. So looking at anything that can be, for most people, 30 grand an hour, and a few years ago, 30 grand an hour, now 30 grand an hour is like, but yeah. Lens positive. Let's pull the good out of this. Obviously, we don't want that repeating over and over again. There's a time where you're like, dude, okay.
Of course.
That lens positive, I think, allows it to be positive because you put on that lens, and then long term it becomes positive. Even if it's a short term hiccup, it's really a short term win if you let it be.
Amazing. Yeah, absolutely. It's so it's just like Tony Robbins talks about this a lot because of his loose association with NLP, where there was no negative anchoring to that event subconsciously, so it didn't have an anchor that just like tied him down every time that happened.
100%.
And we're getting close to the end of the show, guys. So if you do have any questions that you have burning at the top of your mind, do throw them in the chat, because if not, I'm just going to keep steamrolling with my questions, because I got a bunch more, and this one pulls it all the way back to, I wouldn't say reality being the right word, but you get to, in a very real way, you get to speak to a lot of entrepreneurs, because I know you do a lot of speaking. A lot of people approach you in their own time, and probably your DMs must look insane. What, especially younger entrepreneurs, let's speak for that. What do you, and by younger, I don't mean that necessarily age. Maybe they might be a bit in their, mid 30s, but young as an entrepreneur, it's their first time doing it. What do you think are some of the misconceptions, or where do you have to realign their lenses? What is the most common? Do you see any patterns there?
I think we talked about a handful of them. So to not necessarily be redundant, I'll let those be. Those are big. But fail fast is a big one. So I call it the mommy effect. Like, I've got this idea, I've got this business, I've got this thing, and I'm going to work, and it's got to be perfect. And it's like, before anybody sees it, or I go to my mom and she goes, honey, I love that. That's great. And it's like, looking out for those failures, those fail fast and really, really quick failures. So get an MVP, get something quick, get people to fucking hate it, throw rocks at you, tell you're the worst human ever. Gather that all up and ask why along the way, and then iterate, and then go again. And then make sure you're getting in front of the people that are going to really fucking let you have it this time. Ask why, gather that all up, and then do it again. And I think the problem is, or the challenge is with a lot of entrepreneurs in general, is it's their baby. They feel good about it, so they don't want to hear what's wrong with it. So, but that is so dangerous, because you're not learning, you're not getting true unfiltered feedback, and you're just rolling with the good. So if you said, Anthony, give me some advice on my business, and I go, it's great, bro, everything's good here. Wow, I interviewed everyone, everything's good, it's great. We might high five, you might like me more, but you didn't grow from that. You didn't get any value. If I came in and said, yo, your process is fucked up here, this sucks, dude, I can't believe you retain a fucking client. Wow, holy shit, you guys are actually being able to be profitable because of blah, 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 and I'm actually, and even if I just came out like a dick and you're like, okay, so why? Or tell me more. Like, what exactly is bad about that? Like, you doing that, guess what? You might not like me as much, but you've got a fat list of fucking things to iterate on, whether I'm right, wrong, or indifferent. If I was your customer, you might take it a lot more. Or if I, ran an agency before, it might take it a lot more to heart than if you're just some a-hole off the street or something like that. But seeking those failures and those fail fast versus having to have something perfect before it's launched, I think is a real problem, especially in today's society, because technology and things are moving so fast that by the time it takes you 4 months to go to market or launch something or get it going, it's outdated. Someone's already doing it, or they're doing it way better than you ever thought you could. So get it out there, get it moving, fall on your face, fall on your face, fall on your face, stand up. Oh my God, I see some light, fall on your face, and like, that's a massive misconception that I think a lot of people they think, okay, I'm going to get into it, it's going to crush it, or they hide behind the fact of actually not ever really going for it or launching it. I've got a friend and friends that are like, yeah, I'm running a business. It's this thing. It's an app. It's coming out. It's like been 3 years since it's coming out.
Oh, I know a bunch of those.
You're hiding. What you're doing is you're lying to your. That guy is the same guy as the guy that has a very successful app. Difference is this guy is delusionalizing that it's the results are there and not doing anything about it. So he's like feeling as if his app is successful and like he's a big time entrepreneur, but well, it's fucking nothing. It's just an idea. This guy's delusionalizing about the success of it, and he's going out and taking massive action, and he's not afraid to fail multiple times and fucking lose and be a loser and suck. Everyone boo it and say this sucks and not care. And eventually he's going to get here. But those are the two. It's the same person. Like, this guy is very capable of being this guy, but he's not, because he's hiding behind those emotions. It's like when I was single, like, I'm like, oh yeah, I can get any girl. You're like, yeah. I was fucking sitting in my house telling me that. So I was like, had this false confidence behind my head. I'm like, yeah, you can do it, bro. You're like, fuck yeah, you can do it. And you're like, then it's much different than going up and talking to someone at a bar and getting denied or turned on, and getting that hundreds and thousands of times, and then eventually you find your dream girl, you find the girl you want to be with. Like, that's a much different person than the guy who's sitting inside, who's lying to himself, like, I'm the best, I can get whatever I want. And maybe he's right, but he's not going to show it. He's got a beautiful pamphlet. He's stuck in a folder or stuck in a drawer, and he's just leaving it there versus getting it out to the world. So that's probably outside of, like we said, like the
Yes.
hard work it actually takes around it. The other one I'll touch on super quickly is control. Having control of it is like, I had someone tell me one time, like, if you can hire someone to do something 70% as good as you, that's a massive win. And for me, that was like, I was like, whoa, okay, that's the goal. That's all I got to go. Cause I was a great PPC, I was a great AdWords media buyer. And then I bring someone in to take that over so I could do sales or I could do whatever. And I'm like, you fucked this up. You suck at this. Not like to their face, but I'm like, damn, this isn't anywhere as good as me. Reality is that's probably true. I probably would be the best media buyer on my team if I actually spent, it might take me a week, a month, a year. I would probably get back to that. I'd probably be the best of that if that's what I focus on. And you listening would probably be the best of that too. The second that's not the goal, the AdWords guy that I brought in when I first got rolling was just to be 70% as good. All of a sudden it relieved a lot of that pressure. I was able to release that control. It was like, yeah, Anthony, you are the best. Like fucking, stroking my own ego.
Right.
But you got to go sell, buddy. And like, that's how the company grew, or like, you got to go work on this instead. Like whatever that is, like, that's how it grew. Because I was like, yeah, okay, get over there, pal. Like, I'm like talking to myself, coaching myself. I'm like, oh, he's 70%. That's all he has to be. You sure? I'm like, yeah, I'm sure. You sure? Okay, he's good. Versus like, he's not as good as me. So that releasing that control is really hard, especially for a lot of solo entrepreneurs or solo internet marketers that work by themselves. They're used to their own flow. They're like, fuck it, I know how to set up tracking. I'm gonna do it. And I'm gonna learn everything. It's like, dude, you're gonna only plateau. You can only go so far. You and I have the exact same amount of hours in the day. Bill Gates has the exact same amount of the hours of the day. Guess what though? I get to work 300 hours a day. Why? Because I have a team that each get 8 to 10 hours. So I get 300 hours in the day. Where if you're solo, you get 10. That's the reality. Like, look at it like that. Like, it's the truth. Like, I get 300 hours, you get 10, only because I've been able to amplify my time over people versus you just grind. I'm going to do it. I got this, because you're stuck to control,
Yeah. And for super powerful point for those that want to go deeper into that, like Anthony mentioned before, E-Myth. That's exactly it, right? The baker. If she really wanted to start a bake shop, the reality is the last thing she's going to be doing is baking the way she used to bake.
And that was a harsh reality, at least for myself, to come over, because I was really good at paid media. I'll start bringing on, clients, project stuff. And it was like, eventually it hit, and you got to be like, you know what, if you want to keep growing, and you don't have to, I'm not saying that you have to grow into a ad agency, be a bit. And that's what I think the book talks about most, is people have this false conception of like, it's cool to be an entrepreneur. Some of my best friends are on our team of media buyers, and I'm like, bro, I would kill to have your life. I mean it. Make a good amount of money, work a set amount of hours, really have less. Like, I wish I had, like, they have a better life than me. I've lost relationships. I've lost friends, because I'm working so much. I'm dealing with so much stress. I'm like, that book, if anything, sums that up. Like, maybe you do just want to be a really good pay-per-click media buyer or Facebook ad media buyer. Maybe you don't want a fat fucking agency. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs are lying if they're not like along the road somewhere like, should I fucking be doing this? Or like, is this really what I want, type of thing, But if it is, or if it is along the way, or if you are addicted to that growth, or you are a sicko like me, you fucking love just growing and learning new things and stuff, like that became a reality for me, where I was like, oh fuck, I'm not going to be the baker anymore. I got to learn how to actually manage the shop. And I think if you make it be fun, and you realize, okay, that's how you get to really impact more. For me, it was like, that's how I get to amplify my time, aka impact more people. It was a no-brainer. And it's like, okay, I'm starting from ground zero, learning how to be a good manager. Like, cool. I was starting to read management books instead of how to be a good pay-per-click ad buyer. And it's like total different set of skills. And every time I get really fucking good at one thing, I'm back here. I get really good at managing a 25-person team. It's like a whole new, struggle of skills. So it's fun though. And it's cool, especially again, when the goal is to help more people or amplify things, or, whatever that is. It's not, maybe that's not your goal, but if it is, then, I think you have to come to that reality eventually.
As long as it serves you, right? That's the only thing that matters. Whatever serves you and serves you the life that you want to lead best, which again, another really poignant moment for me with the people that I'm speaking to on the show is this great ability to just like extract ego from self. What I mean by that is you figured out that being less of a media buyer and transitioning into learning a new skill that you're probably sucking at is okay, and it has nothing to do with a reflection of you as a good or bad person. You're not less than or more than.
That's funny you said that, because I think that's actually a really good point, is separating yourself or your feelings from that. So like Man, I have nothing other to say than that's such a solid fucking point. Like it's like not taking it
Love you,
again,
bro.
the your shit sucks or something. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
You're like your shit sucks. You're not like damn I suck. You're like this outside of me sucks. Might have been my idea, might have been my work, but like the goal is to make this better. So let's look at it from it sucks because that's gonna help this get better, and let's go versus like this sucks and it being attached to the heart and you're like, oh, you're telling me I suck, like my shit sucks. You're like, that is the easier way to think, but it's not the strategic way to think, because when you do that you don't fix this and you realize, okay, this is going to stay this way. And guess what, that's the guy pulling out his wallet. So if he says it sucks, I'm sorry, it sucks. And it's not because I'm
Yeah.
bad or dumb or ugly, it's because, oh my god, I didn't get it right on the first fucking shot. That's okay, that kind of stuff. So
Totally. It's like, the and the perspective that I apply for myself all the time is when people critique me, especially as a filmmaker. A lot of filmmakers absolutely take it personally. It's like, oh my god, you're like, I feel super depressed because they're critiquing my work. I'm like, would you get really that pissed off if you were eating spaghetti and I said, bro, your fork fucking sucks, bro? You'd be like,
yeah,
oh, I'm gonna get a new fork. It's got 4 prongs instead of 3. All right, shit. I'm not gonna be that mad. At least I know what exactly it is. It's not me, this entire thing where I'm like confused as shit.
for sure, bro.
So that was a really poignant moment. Thank you for helping me get there. That was super awesome. I want to stay respectful of your time. This has been such an amazing hour. Everyone watching, I really hope that you can join me in thanking Anthony. Anthony, thank you so much for the hour. You are a super busy man, so I really do appreciate you for that. If you enjoyed watching this, there are a whole bunch of tips. I'm going to make sure that I throw them into the show notes because there are a ton of takeaways. Show Anthony some love. Give the video a like. Mention him in the comments. And if you want to ask him any questions or just say thanks, please do so because this has been an amazing hour. I'm going to transition over, say bye to the viewers. Anthony, stick on the line. We're going to jam for a little bit. I want to just say thanks properly before we bounce off.
Much love, bro. Loved it.
Much love, brother. How amazing was that? That was Anthony Sarandrea. If you are for some reason only joining us now on the live, do replay back. I will make sure that I take the time, jump into the show notes, and give you timestamps of all the really, really amazing things that Anthony has been talking about. Even really, really is not a good way for me to give the value or explain the value that was there. Such powerful things: empathy, understanding, curiosity, being able to steel yourself and have the right mindset. Such powerful stuff. If you enjoyed the show, do tag a friend who needs to see this. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I thank you so much for your attention. And every week we do the show, we bring new people on and pick their minds. Anthony was an amazing one. I'll see you next time.